What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of WFTCAST. Today, I have an Eagles fan on for the game. Coach Reed, welcome.
Hey, how's it going? How you doing, Mason?
I'm doing pretty good. Okay, so for the Eagles here, they started off this season 2-5, but have won 5 of their last 6 games, currently controlling their own destiny in the playoffs. How confident are you in Philadelphia's playoff chances?
Well, I think Philadelphia's playoff chances are actually pretty good. They have two chances. They need to win one of their last 2 games, and hope that Green Bay beats the Vikings, and
Vikings.
that's looking more and more probable because
Hmm.
I just read that
Kirk
Kirk Cousins is
Cousins.
going to be out this week because of COVID. So if the Eagles can pull this win against Washington, they may solidify their chances this week for making the playoffs.
Yep, for sure. And I would say that it's kind of really the Washington game. That's going to be the big one because the following week you guys play the Cowboys, and depending they're trying to go for the number 1 seed right now in the NFC. So it's definitely they're not going to be benching their players or resting their players for the playoffs unless they lose this week, which to the Cardinals. I mean, it's definitely possible, but the Cardinals have been struggling lately, so I don't
Mhm.
really see them losing.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there, and I think this is the week that the Eagles need to play hard, because if they don't, then they have to face a Dallas team that like you said, is lobbying for the first overall. So um, they want that first round bye.
Yep, for sure. And I mean, recently Washington's been going through their own breakouts. We're going to talk about more of the game in a little bit, but the COVID breakout in Philadelphia has sparked a little bit as well.
Yeah, that's true. And Coach Sirianni's actually taken some precautions. I saw that
Mhm.
he's isolating his quarterbacks in different quarterback rooms and doing Zoom calls with
Yeah.
his quarterbacks to go over game plans and that kind of thing. So that's smart, and it's smart to keep your team safe and
Hmm.
quarantined before the big game. I mean, obviously, it makes it harder to connect with players and stuff, but I think it's a smart thing to do just to kind of keep the spread from spreading.
Yep, for sure. And yeah, talking about the quarterbacks here, Jalen Hurts. I mean, he's had an average season, I would say. He's not been playing like top 10, I would say, but he hasn't been playing that bad as well. Do you think he's going to be the franchise quarterback for Philadelphia?
I think so, and I'll tell you why. Howie Roseman, the general manager for the Philadelphia Eagles,
Hmm.
whiffed on Russell Wilson, and
Yeah.
he's openly said he's regretted that his entire career, that he missed out on that draft pick. And I think Jalen Hurts is his Russell Wilson. He is showing promise. He's getting better each week. I mean, he had that terrible game against the Giants, but a lot of it wasn't his fault. There was a lot of drop passes, especially the one by Jalen Rager in the end zone, which
Yeah.
I think he's never going to live that down. So every quarterback has that game, and I think Jalen has had his ups and downs, but as a young quarterback, I think he's progressing. I think he's getting better every week.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he definitely could be the guy. He plays a lot like Russell Wilson as well, how his mobility and stuff. He can get out of
Yeah,
the pocket, he can run a little bit. We haven't seen Russell Wilson do that much ever since kind of his last few games, but he's really yeah, he's really becoming what Russell Wilson was when he was younger.
yeah. And Russell Wilson isn't a spring chicken anymore. He's getting up there
Mhm.
in age, so he can't really run around like he used to.
Yeah. And Gardner Minshew, how did you feel about when Hurts didn't play? Gardner Minshew comes in and he put up some pretty big numbers, 20 of 25, 242 yards and 2 touchdowns. But again, it was versus the Jets. So how do you feel about that?
Right. Well, it was one heck of a game, and even though it's versus the Jets, it's an NFL team. You can't put anything past them.
Mhm.
And like any given Sunday, any team can win. So, but Gardner Minshew put up some really impressive numbers, and I think that really helps his stock. One thing about Gardner Minshew that I really like is he had a spark, and he wants to start. He wants to play. He wants to be the guy. And saying that, I don't think he's going to be in Philadelphia very much longer. I do think that Jalen Hurts has the starting job, and I think that they're going to use Gardner Minshew for some trade bait later, at the end of the
Yeah.
season, and I think he's going to start somewhere else.
Mhm. I think, I mean, talking about some spots, Panthers, I could see him maybe going to the Panthers. They're really struggling over there with their quarterbacks. But yeah, I think that could be a good spot. talking about the offseason a little bit. Now, free agency, I was looking at the list. I think you guys only have 14 players, which sounds like a lot, but compared to Washington, that's not really that many people on the free agency list for this offseason. It's
Yeah.
really the secondary and the defense, I would say, that's kind of affected. But yeah, there's really no big names besides Jason Kelsey. Do you want to resign Jason Kelsey? I mean, he's also up there in age, so yeah.
Well, well, obviously I'm sporting my Kelsey
Yeah.
jersey today because I
Mhm.
wanted to honor the vet of the team. And I honestly thought that this might be his last season, and it very well
Mhm.
could be. He is one of the better centers that we've had in a long time. But we made some precautions and drafted a few other centers like him in the past. One Landon Dixon.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
something like that, yeah.
yeah. We drafted him last year, and he's been playing guard. He's been playing. I think he played center one or two times
Mhm.
throughout the season. But Jason Kelsey is going to be very, very hard to replace. He's
For
definitely
sure.
an anchor for that offensive line.
Yeah.
Given some of the other free agency players,
Yeah.
uh, we have some big names like Derek Barnett,
Mhm.
Steven Nelson, Roddy McLeod, Jordan Howard, Alex Singletary
Yeah.
is a big name too. I mean, he's kind of like under the radar, but I mean these guys are actually all getting pretty older. Derek Barnett is still in his 20s,
Mhm. Yeah,
but one thing about him is he causes a lot of penalties unnecessarily.
yeah.
So he could go on and play for another 10 years probably. Same
Mhm.
with some of these other players. I think Alex Singletary could play another 4 or 5 years as well. But all these players that are free agencies are actually either in their 30s or quickly approaching their 30s, and that's kind of like the Eagles' cutoff when it comes to a lot of the players, especially like a lot of the faster players like the corners and the running or the running backs and the wide receivers and stuff.
Yeah. It's definitely, I would say a lot of the Eagles, the time has come and then the time has really gone. The offensive line we already saw with I think Jason Peters
Mm-hmm.
last year he left, and so the offensive line was one of the best, or it had some really good pieces 5 6 years ago, but most of them careers coming to an end,
Yeah.
and so you're gonna really need some replacements, which yeah.
Well, don't count out Jordan Mailata. He's
Mhm.
he's really taken that role, and he's gonna come a long way since he played rugby. So
Yeah, I do remember that. You guys did, I believe two of your offensive linemen you guys extended, resigned over
yep.
this past season, so that's pretty good there. All right, now the game on Sunday. We talked about it a little bit, but here, do you think the Eagles will win?
I believe they will win.
Yeah,
Now, this is going to be a different game than we played you guys last time because there was a lot
sure.
of people that were missing. You're missing your quarterback, uh, Heinicke,
Heinicke, yeah.
and you're missing a lot of key members on defense as well. So
Right.
this is going to be a bigger game. I think it's got a lot's going to have to rely on Jalen Hurts and his legs and getting out of the pocket and avoiding
Mhm.
pressure and getting the ball downfield. I also think that they're going to have to rely very, very heavily on the run game, and that makes it difficult with Miles Sanders out.
Yeah,
But I think between Boston Scott and Jordan Howard, they can move the ball on the ground. So it's going to be an interesting game. I think it's going to be played a lot differently than we saw last game. But I think the Eagles are hungry, and I think they want to win this one so they can you know like not really rest against Dallas, but have less pressure against Dallas.
right, yeah. Speaking of the running game, today on Friday morning, there was breaking news that came out. Antonio Gibson tested positive for COVID. He is going to be doubtful against the Eagles. It's a big loss for Washington.
That
Also,
is,
we also lost starting offensive tackle Eric Flowers, and one of the best punters in the league in Truss Way. All three of those players got put on the COVID list, and all three of them are going to be doubtful for the game. It's definitely it was the defense mostly in the last game, and now the offense right now taking hits for COVID.
hmm
It's for the Eagles. It's going to be a control your own destiny for the final few games of the season. Of course, beating Washington, it's definitely easier than beating Dallas for sure. So it's yeah, it's definitely going to be a lot interesting last few weeks for the Philadelphia Eagles. How do you feel about if the Eagles made it to the playoffs? How far do you think they're going to go?
Well, that they can only answer that question honestly.
Yeah.
As a fan and a flag football coach,
Mhm.
it's hard to judge the talent of an NFL team. Um, I think they've been getting better and better as the season goes on. I think that even the coach Sirianni has actually grown and learned, how to manage a team and how to manage games better than he did in the beginning of the year. There was a lot of judgment and criticism in the beginning for Nick Sirianni because he refused to run the ball, and now we are probably the best running team in the NFL.
Yeah.
So I think he's grown leaps and bounds, and I think he's learning more every day. And honestly, I think the Eagles would be a dangerous team in the playoffs.
Mhm.
Not as dangerous as Dallas. I think that
Yeah.
they're going to be a force to reckon with. I mean, I have to admit their defense is pretty stout, and
Mhm.
and they know how to score points. So
Yeah.
it's going to
All
be a
right.
tough one.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on to the show. It was nice having you on. See you in the next one. Peace.